Good evening, members, and welcome to Scrutiny Committee on Wednesday, the 21st of January. I'm your monitoring officer, and we've just got some housekeeping to start, if I may, please. So first of all, could I note, please, that members will have received a copy of the corporate plan at the start of the consultation process and as part of the papers for today's meeting. To avoid any confusion as we go through the sections today, we will be referring to the full agenda reports pack, which is available online, and we will be using the page numbers in the bottom right of the footer that align with the title of the committee. I hope that's helpful. Moving now, if I may, please, to item 1 of the agenda, and that is to elect your chairman. And I'd be grateful, please, if I could have a proposer for Councillor Wood. Thank you, Councillor Marsh. And a seconder, if I may, please. Thank you, Councillor Pascoe. And if I could have a show of hands to vote your chairman. Councillor Wood, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, members.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll take a... Deputy Chair, Vice Chair, can I have a seconder for my proposal? Thank you, Councillor Pascoe. Can we vote on that, unless there are any other candidates who wish to push themselves forward? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Come and join us at the front. I'll just give the councillor a moment while he settles. Thank you very much, members, for swiftly dealing with those matters of business so that we can proceed. I just want to draw your attention to the fact this is a very long agenda, to say the least. And so can we try and keep to the rules that if you're moving a motion or amendment, it's up to 5 minutes, and if you're seconding something, it's up to 3 minutes, unless you reserve your right to speak. And we will try to expedite things as appropriate. Okay. I note the substitutes in accordance with the committee procedure rule 8 that Councillor Marsh is here for Councillor Clark and Councillor Cherry is here for Councillor Hatton. We have also received apologies for absence from Councillor Clark and Hatton, and Councillor Marsh has just informed me that Councillor Whitaker has sent his apologies in at the last moment. So we note those apologies. Next, we come to receiving declarations of interest from members in respect to any matter on the agenda. So I will kick off by saying I have one with regards to the community review, being the member for Linfield and on Linfield Parish Council. Sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, I'd also like to declare an interest as a member of Hayward Town Council, which is again involved in item 8, the community governance review.
Okay, Councillor Knight.
I'm the board member for Sparefield, Brookfield and Anstey.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Marsh.
Just taking food.
Okay. Anyone else? No?
Yeah, Heritage Town Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Right.
Sorry, my light was on, but
Sorry,
just to say also a member of Hayward Town Council.
Thank you, Councillor Ellis. Sorry for not spotting it. Okay, so if we can move on to, can we have general affirmation for the minutes of the previous scrutiny committee held on the 3rd of September? Can we all agree to those? Agreed. Agreed, okay, thank you. I had no urgent any other business, so we will move on to the community governance review. So I'm going to invite firstly Julie Galvin as officer to talk to this, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Members of the Scrutiny Committee have a central and clear constitutional role to play and are empowered to make reports and recommendations to both the full Council and to Cabinet. Members are reminded that the Community Governance Review process is, in itself, a statutory process which does not mandate scrutiny oversight. The final decision maker is full Council. This report has been brought to you by officers outside of the statutory process, and the recommendations to note before you paragraph 3 of the report are as a result of the public consultation process and therefore must stand. If members are minded to make further recommendations to full council, this is within the gift of scrutiny. Any further scrutiny recommendations will form part of the final report to full council. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to a debate, I also invite Stephen Brown to introduce the report. The Community Governance Review.
Yeah, this has been an extremely difficult review, as everybody is aware. We've now been out to the second stage of public consultation, and it comes back to you tonight for further review. But clearly, the final decision will be made at council. But it's just if there are any more comments to be made at this committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I now declare the floor open to debate. If anybody has any comments or questions, please raise them. Councillor Knight.
Thank you, Chairman. If I may make some comments, please. I will set out clearly why the proposal to move this parish area, which I represent, into Hayward Town Council is neither justified nor in the best interests of the residents we represent or I represent. At the heart of any community governance review lies a simple test. Will this change improve local democracy, strengthen community identity and deliver more effective governance? On all three counts, in my opinion, the proposal before us falls well short. First, community identity. The parish has had a long-standing and distinct character shaped by its villages, its green spaces and its strong local networks. Residents identify with their parish precisely because it is not part of the urban centre. To fold this area into Hayward Heath would dilute that identity and replace a community-scale council with much larger, more distinct authority. Nothing in the consultation demonstrates that residents want to lose that sense of place. Secondly, representation. Parish councils offer highly localised, accessible representation. Councillors know their residents personally and residents know who to contact when something needs fixing. Moving into Hayward Heath Town Council places community within a significant larger electorate. Bigger is not always better when it comes to democratic accountability. Thirdly, financial impact. Hayward Heath Town Council operates with a higher precept generally around than some of the surrounding parishes. Transferring this area within Hayward Heath to Town Council with a current track record of hiking council tax could increase bills for residents in the long term without any guarantee of improved services. And it's at a time when households are already under pressure, imposing higher costs for no demonstrable benefit would be irresponsible. Fourthly, service alignment. My parish council needs are not the same as those of a busy town centre. We have rural footpaths. Sorry, have I read that bit already? No, thank you. We have rural footpaths, village spaces, local green spaces, community events that rely on council attuned to the character of the area. Hayward Heath Town Council quite rightly focuses on urban priorities, but those priorities do not reflect the day-to-day realities of our residents. There is a risk that local projects would be deprioritised once absorbed into a larger administrative structure. Fifth, local control. This parish council manages assets and initiatives that matter deeply to those residents. Transferring governance to this area would hand those decisions to a body further removed from the community with no guarantee that existing commitments will be maintained. Local stewardship would be replaced by centralised oversight. And finally, Chairman, we must remember that there's been no compelling case for change has been presented. The current arrangements work, they are understood, they are stable, and they enjoy the confidence of the community. Change for its own sake is not good governance. The evidence simply does not support the conclusion that residents will be better served by becoming part of Hayward Heath. For those reasons, I urge members to reject the proposal and can reaffirm the principle that local governance should remain local, responsive and rooted in the identity of the communities we serve. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Marsh.
Excuse me, Chairman. Yes, I was here, as you recall, in September And I think I might have said something along the lines, this is just a pure land and money grab, and nothing has changed my thoughts on that subject. However, we've gone through this process, and I'm looking at the leader of the council in Brooklyn. At that time, we went through the governance and we rejected Burgess Hill Town Council's request because there was nobody living there, it was just fields. However, the moment they started building houses, it was transferred into within Burgess Hill Town Council, quite rightly. However, this is the other way around. This was fields when Anstey put it up in the previous district plan. Now the houses are there, they're quite happy paying their lower precept to Anstey and Staplefield, and as a consequence, having spoken to the local parish councillors there on a different subject, they don't really want to move. They really don't want to move. The only person who the only organisation that really wants this to move is Hayward Heath Town Council. Nobody else wants to. They're well entitled to put in for a request for we want to take them on, but you've got to go with a willing group of people who want to go with them, and they don't want to go. So I would like to just shorten what I was going to say in light of what you just said, and go with recommendation to no changes, and Anstey and Staplefield will still be the representation for the Rocky Lane area and not Hayward Heath Town Council. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Well, thank you, Chairman. As a member of Hayward Heath Town Council, I don't support this Rocky Lane North and Rocky Lane South, and I can't see any clear message in the key themes for no change or for change. I do believe the last time we were at this council meeting, there was representatives of Hayward Heath Town Council who were stating they would give some compensation for the loss of precept. I haven't seen anything how that would be addressed. But it then goes on that we would end up with more councillors and we'd have wards merged. We've just had a massive boundary change. People have just settled into knowing who their councillors are. We're going to change this for very little benefit, as I can see. And as I read through it, and clearly read through it on both sides, I can see that most people are quite happy with the situation and where they are now. And I really don't feel I could support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pascoe.
Thank you. So to maybe counter some of those points, I have a different view. I think that I'm pleased that the review has taken on some other evidence and there's been more representations that the decision now is to move the Rocky Lane area into Hayward Heath. And I think this is not necessarily about the purpose of this, to change the recommendation. The final decision is made at full council, but to counter some of those points made, the purpose of the review was to look at sort of 4 key areas. So improving stronger community engagement. There are many activities that Hayward Heath Town Council put on in the local area. We know that residents of this estate would likely be using them as the nearest urban hub for them. We know that they access community centres nearby, like Ashingground Community Centre. Being able to formalise, so some of these services which are paid for by the precept of Hayward Heath Town Council, it would make sense to formalise some of this so that residents of Rocky Lane area that are using the community services and events put on by the local authority, that they sort of contribute towards that. So I think that's better about improving community engagement, and actually being part of Hayward Heath Town Council would mean that they'd have a stronger say in what those events look like and how they should be serviced by their local urban hub. About making cohesive communities, I think when you look strategically, geographically, it makes sense that these are sort of more cohesive within the Ashingground ward. It's within the district is part of Ashingground's ward, so it's already considered by this council, Mid Sussex District Council, as part of Hayward Heath. It's as part of the West Sussex County Council. It's considered part of Hayward Heath Central. And many residents, as you see in the representations, some already would have considered themselves as part of Hayward Heath and wouldn't have realised that they were actually in a different ward until this consultation came about. In terms of better local democracy, so the only way to actually access this site is going through, so for Ansty and Staplefield, so the Rocky Lane estate, the only way to access it is actually going through Hayward Heath parish borders. So you'd have to go through the Rocky Lane, which the only connection to that is actually through Hayward Heath. So if there were an election for these residents, they'd actually have to leave their parish to go to the nearest place that they could cast their vote, which would be within the Hayward Heath Town Council boundaries. So it actually would improve local democracy if it's more consistent to align where their local sort of voting polling station is with the parish that they're in. I'd also like to mention that in terms of local democracy, they, as in the recommendation, which I agree with, the addition of the number of councillors that are represent that area. So they'd be carried over into the new Ashton Ground change within Hayward Heath Town Council. So you wouldn't lose those councillors. They could still stand. They'd just be standing as part of a larger authority that's open 24/7, can provide more services. So it's 5 days a week, but open regular business hours. So it's fully staffed council, so that you wouldn't lose that local democracy. The precept is actually lower in Hayward Heath than it is in Ansty, so they would be saving money if they were worried about precept. All services, they can be delivered by the fully staffed team of Hayward Heath Town Council. Hayward Heath Town Council is also closer to Ansty Village Hall and closer than Staplefield. It is the nearest authority office that they could go to, that I said is fully staffed. So you'd have that efficient and more effective, convenient delivery of local services for residents. It's within Hayward Heath Town Council's neighbourhood plan. So that's other, recognition that this site, when it was being developed, was developed with the intention of becoming part of Hayward Heath Town Council. And so people already feel like it's part of Hayward Heath. So I think as part of the review objectives, this new recommendation to move Rocky Lane into the Hayward Heath Town Council parish, I think, addresses all four of those points, and these residents would be better served on all four of those points than they would be in the current situation.
Thank you. Councillor Marsh, you wish to come back?
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much for allowing me to come back. I've got to refute a few of those things. Brook Street, which is in Ansty and Staplefield, actually have their polling station in Cookfield, outside the parish of Ansty and Staplefield. That's been conveniently forgotten by my colleague. The parish councils are by the main are independent, and Hayward Heath Town Council are political by nature. Pretty much every parish council throughout the whole of the district are not political. We've got the odd political person on it. I sit on two, but I recognise myself as independent for the benefit of sitting on the parish council. That is not the case in Hayward Heath. Ashton Ground, yes, it is within Hayward Heath, but Ansty and Staplefield actually pay to rent that for their parish council meetings off, given a source of income to Hayward Heath Town Council. And I have just put here, no, it wasn't. At no point was Rocky Lane ever to be considered it was ever going to be in Hayward Heath. So, Chairman, I'm afraid I have to refute quite a few of those. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I was going to pick up on Councillor Pascoe's point about aligning administrative boundaries with the Hayward Heath neighbourhood plan area. This was not present in the previous report as far as I could see. And currently the Rocky Lane area is considered to be Hayward Heath for county and district electoral purposes, but not for town and parish purposes, which is in itself a bit of an odd incongruence. It's even more curious when we consider it in relation to the Hayward Heath neighbourhood plan, which covers the Rocky Lane area and creates a structural mismatch between residents affected by neighbourhood planning policy and the body through which those same residents are currently not represented. If we were to maintain that mismatch, we would in effect be maintaining a democratic deficit in which residents would be subject to neighbourhood plan policies that would shape development in their area, but lacking a clear, direct or meaningful route to influence the council responsible for that very same plan. This would dilute local democratic engagement in the planning system. From that perspective, I would see these proposed changes not as an expansion of governance for its own sake, but as a necessary correction that will strengthen democratic legitimacy of town-level policy instruments, in addition to improving clarity for residents and supporting coherence in future community-led planning processes. I would urge colleagues to think very hard about voting in favour of the principle of potentially requiring residents to accept policies from a seemingly external authority with no democratic say in that policy process.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to this?
Does anybody want to move anything? Did they move anything? I don't think they did they?
Okay, would the, is anybody wishing to move an amendment?
I can move an amendment, but
Right.
it's, as you quite rightly said, and then the monitoring officer said,
Yep.
it goes to full council.
It does indeed.
So it will be, I mean, I will move the amendment actually in full council.
Okay, so you reserve your right to do it here, but we'll have a vote
But
just
I
on
think
the
it'd be better to
recommendation.
do it in full council, so,
Okay.
so the full council can make the decision on both recommendations.
Absolutely, okay.
Which is what we did
Yep.
at the previous ones.
Okay, fine. I'm quite happy to go with that. So on that basis, I think we do need to look at the recommendations. So I will read paragraph 3 in the recommendation. So the committee is recommended to note the findings of the second stage public consultation. B, to note the review, the council's final recommendations in respect of Hayward Town Council, Linfield Parish Council and Ironside and Staplefield Parish Council following public consultation as follows. That firstly, Hayward Heath North East remains within Hayward Heath Town Council and does not move to Linfield Parish Council. That Rocky Lane North and Rocky Lane South move to Hayward Heath Town Council from Ironside and Staplefield Parish Council. That Hayward Heath Town Council expands from 16 councillors representing 9 wards to 19 councillors representing 5 wards. And to note that in light of the consultation responses received through each stage of the community governance review, the final recommendations shall proceed for a vote at a council final decision on the 25th of February 2026. Okay, so shall we put this to the vote, I think? Let's put this to the vote, please. So.
Councillor Ellis, have you been able to vote? Sorry, okay.
No name or no vote.
Then I'll sort it for you.
Yep, okay.
I think it's when the councils would move it.
Sorry.
It's on you.
Yes, I don't know how I affected your voting, but anyway, right.
Are we there, Ben?
Not quite that, yeah, sure. Okay, let's rerun the vote. You're doing it again? They're in the process of resetting.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chairman. And good evening, everybody. As you can see, we've got the full team here today to answer any questions or help you with the debate when we get into it. I think probably, I think I almost say this every year, but it is quite difficult to put these papers together without any firm figures from the government. So the figures that are in the plan reflected our best assumptions during November and December before we got the provisional settlement, but you'll see that we have included the note that we circulated when the provisional settlement was announced just before Christmas. But I think I would also say that this year was doubly difficult because a lot of the changes in local government funding that have been foreshadowed on many occasions by previous governments are actually coming to pass this year. So we've got fair funding, the fair funding review itself, which is will have a significant impact on councils like ours. That is a movement of resources within the sector to those councils that have higher levels of deprivation and need than we have. And we're in a smallish group of councils nationally that will be very adversely affected by fair funding, the fair funding review. So that's the first big national change. And the second one is the reset of the business rates, which will equally detrimentally affect us for reasons explained in the paper. And the third issue is that some simplification by the government in terms of how it offers finance to local government by rolling grants up, and it can make tracking funding sources a little bit difficult. So that there are a lot of changes which we've done our best to anticipate without them being confirmed, and now we can take you through that tonight. The covering report, which Rachel has put together for you, gives you an update following the provisional settlement. And as you'll see, thank goodness, it was slightly better than we thought it was going to be. What a relief, actually. And we did rehearse with the working group, for whom we thank for their advice and support, how we would handle that were that to come to pass. And so that is contained in the covering report. And I think the slightly more positive settlement gives us on this side of the chamber some encouragement, because the other thing that we're all aware of is local government reorganisation. And this is the second to the last corporate plan and budget that we're ever going to put together for this council. And again, on this side of the house, we aim to go out with a bit of a bang, rather than a whimper. So there is lots of stuff in this plan that we really want to get done, and we think you do too. And the slightly more positive settlement will assist us to do that. So we're very determined to get some very big projects over the line in the next couple of years. And so a slightly more positive settlement will assist us in that regard. So just to mention those things. And I think what we'll probably do, with the Chairman's permission, is we'll go through section by section. So if you wanted to come back to me on the first section, Chairman, you could. But that's probably all I need to say by way of introduction.
Okay, Councillor Marsh.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a slight typo in paragraph 21. As much as I love this government, I don't think they're going to deliver 15 million houses over the...
No.
A bold plan.
Yeah.
It's 1.5. Just a typo.
Yeah, thanks for that. There is, you're right, Councillor Marsh, and there's also some unique numbering, which some of you may have picked up, particularly around page 118. But I think we all get the general sense of it, but it does slightly ebb and flow. Yes, thank you. Apologies for that.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to thank officers for answering a lot of my questions beforehand in writing. It was really useful. My first point pertains to page 109, para 24. The Centre for Outdoor Sport provides an exemplar to the application of our refreshed sustainable economic strategy. My point really is that rubber crumb was used, and that's basically spreading microplastics. This has been used at the Arc, at the Town Football Club in Burgess Hill, and probably at Haywards Heath Football Club as well. I'm not sure if they've got their new pitch yet. Cork would be a good alternative. It has advantages, it's cooler, odourless, it's totally organic. You don't cut the trees down, you harvest the bark. The granules of rubber crumb, I take note that the council is doing its best to keep them on the pitch, but they get everywhere, as parents will tell you. They get into the boots, they get into people's houses. I appreciate cork is more expensive, but shouldn't we be setting a good example if we really want to work towards a sustainable economy? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. The ARC Centre for Sport has been constructed to the highest environmental standards, and we've sought to do a lot of things with that project to deliver a carbon neutral facility through planting, through solar panels, through air source heat pumps and so on. One of the things we did look at when we were looking at the build and looking at the specification was the option around organic infill for our natural turf pitches, for our artificial turf pitches. We brought in a number of industry experts to explore different options, including olive pips and various other things. It was significantly more expensive, I think to the tune of about £200,000 to infill the two pitches. We were operating on a tight budget, but actually that wasn't the only thing that drove a decision to, at this stage, go with rubber crumb. And really the reason was that those are emerging approaches. There weren't any examples in the UK of an established natural alternative to rubber crumb being used, and in terms of its sustainability, its durability and so on, there were no examples. Sport England were recommending at that time still that there were other things that we should do, those things that you've mentioned around containment and so on, which are all within the specification. And it was felt that going with a particular solution when there were 3 or 4 emerging solutions out there at this time might leave the council and the facility at a disadvantage should Sport England, the Football Foundation and so on, who were all exploring those alternatives, come up with a recommendation around which of those was the preferred industry standard. So the decision was made to go with rubber crumb on this occasion with all of the containment solutions in place, with a view to, when those pitches were requiring replacement, replace them with a natural alternative.
Well, I'm slightly confused because we're jumping all over the place. That was page 118. Are we doing section 1, then section 2, then section 3? So that's where I'm slightly confused. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the material in section 1? Councillor Cherry.
I just wanted to ask, how long roughly does the rubber crumb pitch last? You say that you're going to look again later on when it's time to replace it. What sort of time period are we looking at?
It's about 6 years, but the pitch is assessed regularly.
Okay.
6 years?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on section 1? Okay, let's move to section 2, which is titled Financial Strategy, including medium-term financial plan. If you'd like to, have you got any? So let's have a look at section 2.
Yeah, Rachel, do you want to make any introductory remarks?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, if you'd like to, thank you.
Thank you. So section 2 provides you with the details and assumptions and proposals supporting the production of the financial strategy and the medium-term financial plan. And then section 2A follows with the details of 3 new bids to the capital programme. The strategy itself has been constructed, as Catherine mentioned, with support and much appreciated help of the politically balanced member working group. It also supports the service plans at section 3, and also, just to remind members, it provides for the statutory requirement to set as a minimum a balanced budget for 2026-27. As Catherine mentioned, following the publication of the strategy to scrutiny, the multi-year provisional local government settlement was announced, and a briefing note was circulated outlining the headlines for the council. Crucially, the multi-year settlement provided for additional general funding in the first year only, though, and therefore doesn't require any fundamental changes to the strategy. Rather, it allows for proposals to improve the robustness and to aid the delivery of council priorities, having regard to those principles agreed with the working group. The proposals also align to the statement of budget robustness that's at section 2B. This statement that I produce in my capacity as section 151 officer has regard to the management of financial risk. And to do so robustly headlines the need to maintain the general reserve within recommended levels. And finally, I just wanted to note that, as ever, this is a provisional settlement and has been subject to consultation, and therefore the financial outcome for the council may be subject to change at the final settlement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I invite comments and reflections on section 2. Councillor Reeves.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm referring to paragraph 4142. This is about car parking, page 118. Parking's mentioned in various places, but perhaps I'll start with this. I appreciate politicians are very nervous about increasing car parking charges owing to public resistance, although I don't know why we're worried, because elections have gone out of fashion lately. But anyway, we learn that automatic number plate recognition is being introduced in the next few months in 9 sites of the district, and that's going to cost £350,000. So one way to ensure that the council doesn't lose too much money at a time of major financial pressure would be to explore a system of differentiated parking charges on the basis of the type of car you drive, because once you've got ANPR, you know exactly which cars are in your car park. Such an idea is actually mentioned in our own parking strategy and has already been brought in other councils. This country is plagued like no other with the phenomenon of car spreading, meaning there are vast numbers of SUVs on the road which are bigger and heavier and more dangerous than other cars. Would this council consider, as part of its idea of going out with a bang indeed, consider launching a public consultation to measure the public reaction to the idea of charging more for a heavier car in our car parks, with a certain allowance made for electric vehicles because they are generally heavier? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does any officer wish to respond to that? Simon?
Thank you, yes. So, Council may be aware that the Scrutiny Committee for Place and Environment have the Mid-Sussex Parking Strategy Action Plan on its agenda for review, and that would be the appropriate place which to scrutinise that action plan, including your proposal.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Marsh.
Thank you, Chairman. I welcome this year that no increases in parking other than what's been agreed. But I do have a couple of questions, a few questions which, should we say, vex me, for argument's sake. I'd just like to, if it's possible, even at this stage, and perhaps I should have let you know beforehand, is how much money we actually taken in from across the district for the Sunday parking separately, and after 6 p.m. across the district, across the 3 towns. That's another question. And how come, yet again, the villages that were earmarked in the parking strategy, and I'm quite happy to come to the next scrutiny committee, have still managed to not pay their fair share, despite being told in the previous budget last year it was going to raise £300,000. And I did ask the portfolio holder about it, and I think the answer I got was it was picked up in the slack, but everybody else paying a bit more instead of that extra bit. And my question would have been, because I'm not allowed a follow-up question in council, which I would have loved to have done. In that case, if they had done the 300,000, could that money have been accelerating some of the other programmes that we wanted within the parking strategy, other than keeping the southern villages and the two central villages free of car parking? That's one question. When I was portfolio holder for parking, we used to have a parking permit, for want for another word, for the people who used to go to St. Joseph's School, the Catholic school opposite the Marks and Spencers, the orchards, and they're allowed to park in that car park and Franklin's Road car park for 30 minutes, and I think they paid a grand total of £5 for that, for the whole, for the school term time. For some reason, Hurstpierpoint, I wonder why, are getting a free parking, so are we not going to offer the people in Haywards Heath free parking for 30 minutes while they drop their children off at the junior school across the road? Or is it only privileged for Hurstpierpoint? Thank you, Chairman.
Simon Hughes.
Thank you, yes. We'll provide the figures for Sunday and after 6 p.m. to you. I don't have those to hand today. Yeah. On the large villages, as you'll be aware, we looked at the large villages, and as part of that, looked at concessions overall. So a concessions policy was taken to Cabinet in September. When we provided that concessions policy, we decided that it would be most effective that it covered nearly all the car parks within Mid Sussex, and so therefore we could apply those concessions at appropriate car parks. There are some that are excluded, and that is in the report. And the purpose of that is linked to the technology that we're investing in, because the cost of administering those concessions and ensuring that people use the digital permits appropriately means that frees up our civil enforcement officers. So it's a much more efficient way of enabling those permits, means we can have a wider range of permits that cover our key car parks. I do also add that because that technology enables us to have those concessions in the appropriate places, it links to the investments we're making, both in terms of improving car parks, improving the technology, improving the customer experience of it, and that also frees up our civil enforcement officers. And as you'll know from the work you've previously done on car parking, the biggest customer contact we have is not about tariffs, it's about civil enforcement and inconsiderate and dangerous parking. So the strategy set out that anything we could do to increase the efficiency of our teams going out and their ability to address inconsiderate illegal parking would help. So the whole of both the investments we're making in technology and improvement in car parks are intended to deliver both the concessions to appropriate car parks, but also increase the capacity for civil enforcement. And I'll ask, Rob, did you want to talk about the schools particularly? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so just picking up on the report that we took to Cabinet back in September, which sought to basically tidy up and regularise a range of sort of historic concessions that we applied across the district. And that policy will enable us to apply a consistent approach to a variety of different people who might benefit from concessions, whether that's volunteer workers, whether that's residents, whether that's schools, and so on. And that's all going to be implemented as part of the work that we're doing around villages. So the current trajectory for that is very early in the new financial year.
Thank you. Can I?
You may come back.
Thank you, Chairman. Just thank you very much for both answers. That's brilliant. Two questions I do have is the rollout of the My Permit. I understand one of my colleagues has contacted you, come back and said on the main indicator boards within the car parks, that My Permit is fit there and it's got the number that you can do. And I mean, I've downloaded it because I use the car parks a lot in Haywards Heath, ironically that, and I don't even live in Haywards Heath. So could we find a way of advertising that a little bit more, please? Because I do think that it is a missed opportunity. And I know in the answer you gave, there are a lot of people who've got it, but it could be so much more. And for the love of money, I can't remember the second one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments on section 2 or questions on section 2?
Just a very quick one, Chair. Thank you. What key assumptions still underpin the budget that have suitable error bars, even post-publication, that we need to keep an eye on? And how sensitive are we to these variables?
Rachel Jarvis?
Yeah, sorry, can you clarify what you mean by error bars?
In relation to the assumptions that you've made, where do we still have significant uncertainty, in your opinion? And how sensitive are our plans to changes in those variables?
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Apologies. Thanks. No, that's fine. Just checking terminology.
Right.
Obviously, the budget is set on best estimates at that point in time. And part of my robustness statement and consideration within my robustness statement is considering those areas where there may be some movement in the assumptions we make and the management of those assumptions. And our reserves, general reserves and other, are really, really key to us managing that risk that you rightly point out. There are a number of things that I might draw on. So, for example, we are part of the national negotiations for our salaries, and that is quite a significant part of our budget. We have provided what we think is a reasonable estimate, but we will not know that until the outcome of those negotiations. But all of those things are considered within the robustness statement.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Marsh?
Just remember the third question.
Oh, right.
Second question,
Okay.
I do apologise. I'm looking at yourselves, when do we like to go back out to consultation for this, these concessions and stuff like that? Is it like, have you done it or are you going to do it again? That's all it is, thank you.
Thanks, Chairman. So the proposals around the villages and the concessions and so on are currently with West Sussex County Council. We're required to undertake a consultation with them as a statutory consultee. We're expecting a response from them within the next few weeks, and then we'll be looking to go out to public consultation, and there'll be the statutory 21-day public consultation. We're currently targeting February for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cherry?
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Yes, you've spoken, Simon, about car parks offering consumers concessions. This is to do with school drop-off, local residents who have to use the car park. I'm thinking about Dale Road car park here, and carers calling on people. How is that going to happen in car parks which are without ANPR and all the other super digital things being installed? I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, so that's partly, it's not, we are upgrading not all the machines, we're upgrading as many machines as we can. Not all of them are ANPR, but they are improved technology. And that's where people are able, for example, to enter their number plate, and then that records that they've already registered for a permit. So things like that work. But we'll look at all ways in which we can ensure that the relevant permits work in those car parks.
Right. Can I come back?
Yes,
Yeah. Presumably that won't cost this £50,000, because I've seen that quoted later on in the report, £50,000 per car park to put in ANPR. So presumably
No, that's
those car parks, it'll be a bit cheaper than that, will it?
Yeah, that's an average cost. So we've built the programme on an average cost because when you look at things like ANPR and new technology, You also have to look at how people come into a car park and exit a car park, so that's the layout of the car park. Also have to look at the cabling and those sorts of things. So for some car parks, it can be cheaper than that. For some, it can be more than that. It depends on both the technology and the shape of the car park and what other work is done, which is why we're linking the improvement work that we've identified in the capital bids to the new technology. We wouldn't want to dig something up, put in new technology and then do that again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm on page 123 and it's just in regards to flood risk and drainage infrastructure. And it's fantastic to see that Harlandsborough Road is on there for improvements. Would it be possible at some time just to know what those other miscellaneous 9 sites are for upgrades and replacements for trash screens?
Yes,
Thank
is somebody able to tell us what these miscellaneous sites are?
Yeah, we can certainly supply that. This is part of our survey work across all of these, all the areas of flood risk and drainage. So we have a ongoing multi-year plan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mopford.
Thank you, Chair. I personally am looking forward to APNR, particularly at the Checkermead car park, because I will welcome the concessions that will then come to our volunteer stewards. We've had our panto period, and the theatre has had to pay out over £2,000 in parking fees for the volunteers to come and steward. So I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on section 2? Because I wish to move on to section 3, if I may. No? Okay. Section 3 of the report, I'm going to ask directors in turn to talk about their relevant areas. So Judy Holmes is the first on my list.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat what's in the papers because I think it's quite self-explanatory. But I just wanted to colour in or give a bit more of a flavour on 1 or 2 things, which I know will be of interest to the committee. Our work on the district plan continues, whilst at the same time continuing to improve our efficient and effective planning service. We're continuing to work energetically to deliver key projects, as the Chief Executive has already indicated. We have some ambitious projects we want to get underway, not least the joint venture, the Burgess Hill Station Quarter and the Science and Tech Park, as well as continuing to deliver on the Burgess Hill growth area. That is alongside the work that we're doing with our business communities to deliver key projects in support of our refreshed sustainable economy strategy and our new air quality strategy. Demands on our services continue to increase year on year. And in light of this, we continue to keep our policies, particularly our licensing policies, and our fees and charges under review, where we have the discretion to recover council's costs. The community grants programme has seen an increase in demand. This has been a whopper of a year, but in total, the demand on the grants programme has increased by 50% since 2023-24. The whopper year this year means that we're anticipating that all of the 100k budget and some legacy underspend that we had available is likely to be committed by the end of this financial year. And alongside that, we continue to enjoy very strong, good partnership working, which enables us to deliver on a lot of community-focused initiatives for the benefit of our residents. And we're obviously happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions to Judy Holmes on that section? Councillor Marsh.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just actually more of a thank you for delivering 194 new affordable homes across the district. And it's those of us who sit on the planning committees make that happen, but it's the good reports that we get to make it happen. And I'd like to pass on my thanks to yourself and the team for doing that. And I'm sure Councillor Gibson will be no doubt crowing about that at some point. Thank you.
Yep. Councillor Reeves.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you to the officers for supplying some figures about empty homes. This is page 139. I asked about empty and secondary homes, and I think in a way this could be a scrutiny item of its own, really. It's a pressing concern. It's very good to hear that 323 empty homes and 119 second homes are being charged the premium council tax of 200%, 300%, or even 400% if they've been empty for a long time. So I'd like to ask about Oakenfield. This is in my ward, there's a care unit there with 33 bedrooms, empty for about 8 years. There are several bungalows in the same street, empty. They've been empty through the Afghan refugees coming here, the Ukrainian refugees, and now during the homelessness and domestic abuse crisis. So my question really is, would this council ever contemplate compulsory purchase? Because if something's been empty for 8 years or more, or even 20 years or more in Midfields Drive, and the housing market is on the rise, why wouldn't we step in and compulsorily purchase these empty homes, which are just standing there rotting? Thank you.
Judy.
Thank you. I don't know if colleagues want to say anything. I think we've strayed slightly into other service areas, but in respect to Oakenfield specifically, Councillor Eaves and some other councillors may be well aware of the work that we as a council have been doing with the owners of Oakenfield to try to get that facility back into use. And we've had several false dawns where we've thought that there were initiatives which would be very beneficial to certain vulnerable groups that that would provide much needed housing for them. But unfortunately, for a number of reasons, commercial reasons, those things haven't happened. But we continue to dialogue with the owners of those properties. And you will appreciate that our first response to empty properties is to try to get them back into use with a minimum of cost to the taxpayers. And we take that approach. There are some penalties that can be applied through the Revenue and Benefits team for those that aren't making use of their properties. But clearly a CPO is challengeable and would expose the council to great risk and would take many, many years to execute, which would not achieve the aim of getting that property back into use as soon as possible. But we do work with all owners to look for solutions wherever possible.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Hagan.
Thank you, Chair. I note on page 133, the recent launch of a new AI business network in November. I appreciate 2 or 3 months isn't particularly long to be able to capture substantive outcomes, but what interim indicators or metrics do you have that may help us to understand the kinds of impacts it's having at this very early stage? And lastly, and I appreciate this is probably a little bit out of scope, in relation to the new link road to the west of Brookley, can I request that we look into whether or not a suitable cycling connection can be made between the excellent, safe road of Gatehouse Lane for cyclists and that link road, the West Farm Avenue, because I've received some letters from residents advising me that they're a little nervous about having their children cycle to the Arc Sports Centre. We've got this wonderful infrastructure between Gatehouse Lane, or at least it's quiet. We've got the nice off-road cycle path along West End Farm Avenue, the new link road. But then along Jane Murray Lane, young kids are forced to ride in the road, so their parents say no. And it would certainly help to alleviate some of the pressures we're seeing in the car parks down there. So could I implore you to do what you can?
Okay, so Anne, if you'd like to answer on those two for me.
Thank you. So yeah, on the AI Business Network, yes, the event in November was received good support and good attendance. We'll continue liaising with our business communities to see if there's any further support we can offer by way of follow-up sessions with them. I don't have any data on we haven't sort of carried out any survey work, but we will continue to do that through regular engagement to get feedback and what further opportunities we can do on that. And did you want me to come back on the? I mean, I completely note your comments that there are on Brookley, there are a number of sections of the infrastructure that are still to come, and we work very closely, obviously, with Homes England to make sure that those are delivered. Where there are particular localised issues, then we're happy to take those direct to Homes England and see what can be done. But I don't have an answer for you here on that particular localised issue.
Your email coming on.
That I'd be very happy to deal with that for you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Pascoe.
Thank you. Just on, I guess, the strategy parts of the parks improvements, but I think there's also an interest in the community to review the safety features within our parks, including things like lighting and cameras to make people feel safe in our public spaces. I was wondering if there is a strategy anywhere to review what those safety features are like, and if there's room for improvement within our public spaces.
Okay, we'll be coming to that later, so you'll have a response on that later. Okay. In fact, if we've got all of our questions for Judy Holmes out of the way, I think we will now go to Simon Hughes, who may well be talking about that in a moment. Okay, so over to Simon.
Thank you. As Judy has said, demands on our services increase every year, and that is true for homelessness, and that's an increasing issue nationally and locally within our district. And as councillors may know, the main causes of that are domestic abuse, parental exclusion, and a reduction in the availability of private rented sector. Our homelessness and housing team have been delivering a range of work to prevent homelessness, including early intervention, and they've covered nearly 300 residents this year to prevent homelessness. And we've continued to manage and develop our portfolio of local temporary accommodation, which the council has been purchasing over a number of years. And that means that families can stay near schools and their support networks. That makes a considerable difference to the quality of lives for those families and children. What we're planning to do for this coming year is to expand our surgeries, increase one-bedroom supply for single households, as that's an increasing demand, and keep strengthening our prevention work, because that makes more sense for those people and for this council. On our green spaces, we know they're a valuable asset to our communities, and so we will continue to invest in them as part of our master plan work. We have 3 underway and 2 more coming in this forthcoming year, and we regularly review as part of our maintenance plan things like equipment and lighting and so on. But if there's any specific work required, we can look at that. I would also add, members may be aware that legislation requires us to deliver a food waste collection by March 2026, and we've been working closely with West Sussex Waste Partnership and the Disposal Authority West Sussex County Council by moving early so they can also manage how they cope with food waste for larger rollouts across the county area. And by Christmas, our residents had diverted around 1,000 tonnes of food waste from landfill. That is a significant amount. Next steps for that include an East Grinstead depot, which will provide further efficiency and resilience for the service. Finally, I'd add that we are continuing to invest in our digital services, and that includes addressing a significant risk for us, and indeed it seems every business and organisation across the world, which is cyber attacks. That's a significant risk which we continue to invest in, both in terms of technology and training for staff, and indeed we've run some training courses for councillors as well, and given some information to parish and town councils. Also included in that, and for those members that were able to make the workshop last week on AI, we are looking at AI and service efficiencies. And so thanks to those of you that were able to attend, and if you did miss the workshop, it is available on the training portal. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, so councillors, Questions for Simon Hughes, please. Looks like you're getting off lightly. I'll just say a big thank you on behalf of the district about the food collection. I think that really is making a big difference. So thank you for that and everybody who's been working tirelessly on that. Okay, let's move on to Stephen Brown for the section that you're going to be talking to. Stephen.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I am now paying attention, you'll be pleased to know. So in terms of HR, we are reviewing many of our HR policies. In fact, we're trimming something like 46 policies down to about 20. We're also rolling out our new training programs to support employees and members, including equality and diversity training and inclusion. And I'm particularly keen on the Aspiring Leaders programme, which has proved very, very popular with the staff. And in fact, we're having to run a second course later on in the year to accommodate the numbers of people who want to do it, which is really good. The staff are ambitious and want to learn, so I think that's a really good thing. In terms of comms, obviously we're running to keep up with modern technology, and we're trying our best to stay ahead of the game. I'm very keen to hear how members feel that is going. Obviously, you're out there, hearing the communications. Is it working? But I can tell you that the number of followers, interactions, engagements are up remarkably and can be seen across all the major channels. But it'd be interesting to hear how you feel that is working. With regard to corporate resources, obviously the council finalised for 24-25 and published ahead of the backstop date. I can tell you from councils I've come from previously, that's an achievement. It's not always achieved. And this is not a council that does business as usual. There are some very, very major complex projects which you are dealing with at the moment. And just to pay tribute to the staff in the finance department and in governance, and in legal, the amount of work that's involved is quite extreme, and they've done remarkably well to cope with that, I think. I think probably the only thing to say about democratic services is the amount of work they've been doing on freedom of information requests continues, and they're doing their best to streamline our approach to that to make sure we act appropriately. And in terms of key deliverables for 26-27, we will not now deliver the newly established mayoral election. And we wait to hear about the county election. But happy to take questions, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So questions to Stephen Brown on section 3? Looks like you're getting away with it as well.
Excellent, thank you, Chair.
However, you are now going to introduce sections 4 to 7 for us. So.
Rachel can do it.
And Rachel can do it. Okay, right, we'll take Rachel rather than Stephen. Stephen can have a rest. Over Kate. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Section 4 just updates the reserves policy and is crucial, as I mentioned earlier, to supporting the council's financial robustness. There haven't been any significant changes to the policy approved last year. So it just really then moves on to update the reserves summary at table 11.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on that section?
No. Okay.
No. Okay. If we go to section 5, the capital strategy.
Rachel again.
Rachel, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so for completeness, the council's capital strategy and the investment needed to support the council's priorities, but also improve its resources and assets across the district are presented here. But members should note that this is delegated to the audit committee, who approved it for recommendation to council at its meeting of the 25th of November. So as I said, this is here really for completeness. Table 12 then presents the capital programme, and it has included at this point the 3 proposed bids that are set out at section 2A. Overall, it should be noted that the council, as Stephen just alluded to, doesn't do business as usual, and it shows in 27.1 million investment in total across the district.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions to Rachel Jarvis on section 5? It would appear not. Section 6, it says a table will follow.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain
Yeah.
that?
Shall I just note on section
Yep.
6 and 7?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's the same for both of them. We will provide the tables for council because these tables, both the collection fund and council tax levels, are provided to us by our preceptors. So that information is, the deadline for that information is the 31st of January.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody any questions on those sections? No. Okay, now then, we're asked to vote on the recommendations as a whole. So if we could have the vote, so we're voting as to whether or not to accept these recommendations or to not to do so. If you'd like to vote now, please.
It's on page 99.
Thank you very much. It's on page 99. Sorry, I should have pointed you back to that. I'll go back to page 99. Do members feel I have to read page 99 or are they content? So its recommendations are the financial outlook facing the council over the medium term, the proposed increase in council tax and the requirement to top up the general reserve to ensure it meets minimum requirements and increase specific reserves. Okay, so we're asked to agree or make recommendations on those. Okay, I see some members have voted. If others would now like to complete the vote.
Oh.
Right. Give it a kick, Councillor Ellis. Yeah, perhaps we need some more money in the budget for technology. Anyway. Shall we go for a hand vote?
Yeah.
Right, let's go for a hand vote, right. Those in favour of the corporate plan and budget for 26-27, please raise your hands now. Right, thank you. Those against?
It's unanimous. It was
It was unanimous, yeah, so we weren't bothered with that, abstentions, etc. Okay, thank you. That brings us therefore to the scrutiny work programme, people and communities. Stephen Brown, you are to kick off on this according to my notes.
Chair, just as question for the committee, is there anything you want to be added to the work programme?
Okay, thank you. Members, is there anything you'd like to have added to this committee's work programme? Gary, Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Chairman. It's my age-old question that I have to ask Councillor Cook all the time, is how do we get our information out to our residents? It's all very well, I'm looking at a digital on the screen, but I had to go analogue with my people. Because we're working on different numbers, and I am going through the ModGov and haven't got those numbers down on the ModGov page. So can that be changed when we come to the budget meeting? We have an ageing population. We get told time and time and time again, we have an ageing population. And though I like to consider myself amongst those aging population, I can use this because Mr. Hughes has taught me how to use the flaming thing properly. But we've got a lot of people who don't know how to use it. And so I mean, it's a plea.
Right.
It's a plea. How do we reach the people who are being left behind by this headline rush?
Right.
And I would like that to be on the
So you'd like us to look at how we reach
the hard to reach groups.
Communities who may not be digitally savvy, but
we're
trying to improve the language.
I'll come to that meeting because I need to help, all the help I can get.
Okay.
Let me just, may I just...
Yes, can.
So attached to the paper, Councillor Marsh, there's a kind of process by which members can indicate what they would like to add to a work programme. It's just attached to the back. So we can reach out to you and we can just work that through. So we make sure we are hitting the spot, exactly what you mean. So may we do that? Yes. Is that all right? Thank you. No, well, very well.
There's a bit of paper in the physical one that you can, yeah, okay. That'd be great. Okay, if you could do that. Councillor Mockford.
Thank you, Chair. I would like it. Several times I've had to contact the council, Parks and Open Spaces, Waste Matters, and I get the generic email saying we'll get back to you within 10 days. Now, I phoned once, I emailed once because it was out of hours, but the road was flooded because the leaves had blocked the drain. I can't wait 10 days for that. So I wonder if there is some system we could come up with whereby we could circumnavigate that perhaps. I appreciate it's probably very difficult. But
Simon, any thoughts on that?
Yes, there's work underway, and in the service plans, you'll see that we're looking at both our customer services and the tools that we use so that people can respond both on and offline. It actually might well cover some of Councillor Marsh's questions. So our customer services team do a lot of what's called assisted digital. So people phone and they either help them through the online forms or can complete some in advance of them. So yes, we are looking at that. That is in the service plans and we can update you on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from any other councillors? No. Councillor Aiken.
Just a comment in relation to the proposed work programme. For 123 recycling, the 6-month review, there's likely to be a lot of councillors that want to engage with that process. So I would consider innovative means by which all members could have some sort of input.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not quite sure. I will obviously fill in this form that's at the bottom, but I just wondered, is there a committee or where it could go on if we could understand more about this new app and how things could be added to it? Because I've been using it. I think it's absolutely fabulous. But it really is something. Can we be involved as it evolves? So can we put anything else into it?
Is that a member development opportunity rather than best three? What do you think, Simon?
Yes, hopefully you're pleased to know we're developing a member briefing that will go out at the end of this month, and then we're also planning a workshop where we can go through the app and also look at areas where we can prioritise its use. It's part of the technology that came with 123. The reason we chose it is it can expand across a range of other services, but to plan that requires links to other systems we use, so it's a development path. But we'll provide you with more information on the end of the month and then a workshop to go through it.
Thank you, because I think it's fantastic, so it can only get better, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Quickly, any other, Councillor Marsh again.
Councillor Prescott asked this question in full council. He talked about fly tipping. Can that be included in the report? So I'm just looking at, I love this app. I can actually work this app. Mind you, somebody just had to download it for me, but I know how to work it.
It can be. One of the things we have to address when we introduce new functionality to the app is it has to link to the systems we've already got. So that takes a bit of time to do that well. Otherwise, the experience using the app will be, frankly, rubbish. And also, it won't deliver the efficiencies we need. It will just add another step. So the answer to that is yes. However, we need to plan that, and part of what we'll do is prioritise with councillors and with services what the key things are that will roll out.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I, please?
Yes, quickly.
What is this 3 words? I was an ex-army. I know how to go. You keep on telling me, report this is what 3 words. I'm thinking, what are you going on about?
It's just another form of GPS. It just is a way in which you can identify a very specific location.
Yeah.
It is another app, and if Councillor Marsh wishes, I can assist him in loading that onto his phone.
I'm beginning to think, Simon, that you're our honorary teenager who can fix any teen telephone issue. I couldn't work my phone without my teenagers. Anyway, right, any other quick comments by councillors before we move on? No? Okay, there are no recommendations. Oh, there are some recommendations, sorry. Thank you very much. Page 173, indeed. Okay, so the recommendation is the committee is recommended to confirm the proposed work programme for the municipal year 25, 26 and beyond. Note the alternative approaches by which scrutiny may receive information and consider matters. And note the a minor change for the process of scrutiny committees, requesting further topics to be considered by the committee as set out in paragraph 1. Now, I'm going to risk an electronic vote. Agreed. Can we all agree? Right, okay, then we don't have to risk an electronic vote. Right, thank you for that, everybody. Okay, final part of business. Questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2, due notice of which has been given. There are none. You may leave.
Thank you, Chair.
Unless, of course, you need